Hello, Hixson. I am happy to be here with you and Matt and our friend Reed behind the camera and all of you at home or wherever you are streaming this. The roadmaps are going to start to be connectors between our sermons as we get into the narrative lectionary and we move our way through the big stories of the Old Testament into John's Gospel and beyond in the coming year. I'm excited. Again, I'm really excited about the narrative lectionary, because it's going to give us a way to reintroduce and re-educate ourselves on this golden strand that runs throughout Scripture of God's mercy and God's love and God's salvation plan for His creation. So I'm thankful for that. So I'm thankful for Matt, and he's going to tell us about what happens between last week as God declares all things good in creation. And now we're going 22 chapters later to the binding of Isaac.
Yeah, absolutely. So between Genesis 1 and Genesis 22, we see the people created in God's image and given the holy vocation of bearing that image into the world have refused it. Quite early on, things go rather awry. And again, God's people let God down. We become very violent, we become prideful, we become boastful and envious. And so God turns towards covenant. God makes covenant after covenant with Abram and Sarai, and eventually renames them Abraham and Sarah. And even in light of their faithlessness and their taking the promise of God into their own hands, something which is very reminiscent of Adam and Eve, by the way, that God continues to be faithful to them, that God takes the covenantal risk of being vulnerable with covenant partners to bring about the salvation of the world. The key takeaway of this very, very powerful, very, very troubling, in a sense, text in Genesis 22 is that Abraham can take this grand risk of faith precisely because God has already proven faithful, that God will continue to be faithful to God's people, even in light of our often faithlessness. So there's the good news in a nutshell of Genesis 22. We'll talk about it in more depth, and I'm looking forward to continuing on this sermonic roadmap journey with you in the coming year. I hope you have a blessed week.
See you.